So last week, Marvel Studios released their new movie, Thunderbolts, and I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. So in today's video, I just kind of wanted to talk about my thoughts on the new Marvel movie, Thunderbolts. I'm a big Marvel fan. And this was one movie that when it was first announced back at, I think it was Comic-Con, I was not excited whatsoever for it. I really was not excited at all. I mean, you have all of this group of these B-tier heroes coming together for a team that in the comics is filled with big heroes like Red Hulk, Deadpool, characters like that. And now you're getting sort of these B-listers in the MCU coming together for this team. And I knew I was going to like this movie the second the first trailer dropped, and you have Where Is My Mind by the Pixies playing in the background of the trailer. I could just tell this was going to be a movie for me, and I absolutely loved it. It did not disappoint. So let's start talking about it. Now, what I really like, we finally returned to a grounded story in the MCU. Now, every other Marvel project since Endgame that I've absolutely loved has either been multiverse driven or a conclusion to a story like Guardians 3. And this was something that was completely new, grounded story that you could take somebody to who's never watched a Marvel movie and they could enjoy it. It doesn't rely on, being a fan of every pre-Thunderbolts movie in the MCU. You can just go and enjoy it as its own movie. And when it comes to that, the movie does amazing. It works as just a great action movie about a group of these lost people who find each other in, an insane way and become a family. So obviously, next, I want to talk about the characters, which are the real shining point of this movie. Now, my favorite character in the movie is John Walker. I think John Walker is one of the greatest written post-Endgame characters. I absolutely love the idea of the twist on Steve Rogers, where instead of picking just the good-hearted man, the perfect soldier was picked for the super soldier serum. And so we get somebody like John Walker, who's slightly arrogant sometimes, but he's just a funny character to watch, and I really enjoy what they've done with his characterization so far in the MCU. On top of him, you also have characters like Red Guardian, who is the comic relief of the movie. He's absolutely hysterical. I love him as a character. I've loved him ever since he debuted in Black Widow. He's just a fun character to watch. He brings so much energy. You have Yelena, who's become kind of the head of this new team, and I absolutely love what she can do as the leader, and the entire movie is told from her point of view, and I just really love how they did that, how we see things from where she is in her mental state, and we follow her trying to find this sense of purpose. You also have Bucky, who's been a character since Phase 1 of the MCU, still going strong, still having great characterization. Now he's a senator, which, odd choice. Congressman. Yeah, congressman, not a senator. But he's a congressman now. And it's a weird choice, but they kind of explain it in this movie with him just trying to be in there to prevent, corruption and stuff and trying to take down Valentina. But Bucky, as always, is just an entertaining character to watch. Then you have some of the smaller characters who I, didn't know if I'd enjoy as much, like Ghost. They did really good in this movie with her powers and her as a character. They probably could have, explored her backstory a bit more in some of those, nightmare sequences, but I still enjoyed what we got with her. I really enjoyed Bob, Sentry, Void. Great character, super fun addition to the team. Great as the sort of, big threat to the movie while also not being the main villain to the movie. Bob was just a fun character to have on screen. Then there was Valentina as our main villain, really, and she kind of gave me vibes of Grandmaster, where she was just cracking jokes a lot, which isn't terrible. It definitely works a lot better with Grandmaster, but I still enjoyed what we got with her. And then we had Taskmaster, who was in the movie. Yeah. So, those are our characters, all amazing, all really fun to watch. I also want to talk about the emotion that this movie really brings, tackling stuff like mental health. It reminded me a lot of going to watch Inside Out 2 last year, where that movie really tackles stuff like anxiety, mental health. And this movie's kind of like Inside Out 2 for the MCU, where it, discusses these deep, serious topics while also being a very fun movie that crowds can enjoy and, just go watch, have a good time. I also really love the family aspect that the whole team has in this movie. I really love just how well that the actors, the director, everything was able to bring these characters together and feel like they were actually a real team or family inside of the movie. Kind of like what we got with Guardians. A bunch of, ragtag criminals coming together into a family to create a hero team. And that is what this movie felt like, getting to see some of these B-list heroes come together and feel like they have a family. The last thing I wanted to bring up is that credit scene, which is to date the longest credit scene in the entire MCU. Now, I don't want to go too much into detail on it here because I'm thinking about making a video about it. Let me know in the comments if you want a video where I can talk about it more. But it definitely, brings up a lot of thoughts about what's going to be coming because, spoiler, this is your spoiler warning. Obviously, it just looks like, this is our look Fantastic Four coming into the MCU. But there are all sorts of theories floating around right now. Doctor Doom is in the ship. All sorts of stuff. All sorts of theories going around right now. But this credit scene really set us up good for what we're going to be getting in Avengers Doomsday, where we have now 2 Avengers teams and a threat coming to Earth. We see, just a bit more of that team dynamic from the Thunderbolts, the new Avengers. So it just gets me more excited for Avengers Doomsday, which is already a movie I'm very excited for. But this just really gets me a bit more excited. And like I said, I just really enjoyed this movie overall. I recommend it to you if you're a Marvel fan. I mean, it's doing okay at the box office, not perfect, but I recommend you go see it before it's out of theaters because it really is an enjoyable movie and a really fun time. Now, there's always going to be naysayers for every Marvel project nowadays because of the Marvel and superhero movie fatigue, but just trust me on this. This movie's really good. It's really enjoyable. The cast is amazing. What they do in this movie is amazing for what they were working with. So go check out Thunderbolts, and I hope you all have a good week.